Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today it's time to set up the tunnel for the fall cabbage. Now these tunnels that I'm going to use are called super hoops. They're taller and wider. Spring was the first time I used them and I really liked them. Now first I'm going to show you all the supplies because I found a few hacks to help them work better. Now for one hoop, you're going to need 2 pieces. They're going to connect in the middle to make one hoop. And the 2 pieces are going to connect in the middle with 2 connectors. They're not going to be tight. They're going to be loose. And that's okay. Because I don't want to lose some of the pieces, let me show you how I stored these. These are designed to support a low tunnel. They're not designed as a trellis or as an arch. Used that way, they're not going to be enough support. Now they do have a few weaknesses, and one of those is the very bottoms. It's the same down there. Where they stick into the ground, they're very short. They're not deep enough. Second, because they're tall, they can be unstable in the wind because the netting or the fleece, they catch the wind and cause them to sway. Third, do you see this crossbar? It's sharp on the edges and it can tear the netting or the fleece. You have to be careful and make sure to turn that to the inside of the tunnel, not on the outside. And last, I noticed that because in spring it rains so much and the netting holds moisture up against the hoop, some places in the metal have started to rust a little bit. But all those things are fixable and you can hack them and make them really successful. I'm really liking these super hoops and I want to invest in more of them. Unfortunately, they're not cheap. Now, in my best experience, space them 24 inches apart, 2 feet. That gives them the most support. Now I'm going to give them some extra support with some garden stakes. And use 2 and zip tie them to the edges. Now I do a no-till, no-dig garden method, and every fall I lay down cardboard. Then later I come back and I top it with mulch. That blocks the weeds and holds in the moisture. But today, since some of this is fresh cardboard, it's going to be kind of hard to poke through. So I'm going to use a dipper to help make some holes. Because these are short on the ends, I'm going to secure them with some landscape pins. Because I'm going to grow cabbage in this area, I want to space them 48 inches wide, 4 feet, and I've already measured that. The netting has to be 10 feet wide. Typically, in the past, I've bought 8-foot wide netting, but it has to be 10 feet. The edges are going to need to be weighed down, and I tend to use sandbags, but they're not all full of sand. Some have rocks in them, some have bricks, and others just have regular soil. And the zip ties are to attach the stakes, and the netting we're going to want to zip tie it in the corners. The netting is so thin, it's best to secure it at the corners, not typically like you do in a tunnel where you gather it in the middle of the hoop. You're going to want to gather it at 4 corners. So 4 zip ties and 4 pins for that. Face the zip ties towards the inside, not outside where it'll snag the netting. It helps to push down and then connect. Kind of awkward because I was trying not to block the camera while I was filming it. It made it a little harder for me. Now let's do this again. 2 pieces for 1 hoop, 2 connectors for each hoop. Space them 24 inches apart for the best support. Now this is 38 inches tall because I spaced them 48 inches wide. In the past I have put them 40 inches wide and it's made it a little bit taller. Now first measure, and the best way for me is put one of the stakes in 24 inches apart. Then to put the first piece in. This is new cardboard, so it's really hard. And this doesn't have to be exact. This one's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. Next, you're going to add the green garden stake. I already had these. I use them a lot to support my plants, and it's my favorite way to add support. I have a variety of sizes of these. Then you're going to zip tie the stakes to the super hoop. Make sure you turn those zip ties in so they don't poke the netting. And I forgot to mention, put that crossbar on the inside, not the outside. Then secure the bottom with the landscape pins. Last, you need to connect them, and that is the hardest part. And remember, the connectors are going to be loose, not tight. Push down. And I tend to hook my thumbs through the cross piece. And push. Because I've already used these, the very last one's kind of crooked. I accidentally put it in upside down of how I used it in the spring, but it'll be fine. I can always kind of bend it later. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, let's do this one more time. Remember, the connectors will be loose. Push down. Hold your thumbs on the crossbars, push down, then connect them. In the spring, I bought 100 feet of the 10-foot wide netting, and I use it on 2 or 3 tunnels. So I'm not sure if I already have a piece cut to this size, so let's see. So first you want to drape it over and make sure the ends go all the way to the ground. And you're going to want to weight the corners first. Then you're going to fix the sides. And over 2 or 3 months from using this, it is going to stretch. We'll adjust this some more. So we did 4 corners in the middle of the ends first, then the middle of both sides to make sure it was even, because 10 feet wide is just barely enough for these hoops. Now make both sides tight. Pull them also to make them not just tight going over the arch, but tight along the bottom. Now work on the corners. Start with the cut end. See, it's still loose right here. You're going to gather that up. you're going to wait on the zip tie because you might have to come back and adjust this some more. When we finish the 4 corners, then we'll zip tie it. Now I went around to work on the other side because I want to do the other corner of the cut end. Both of these first. There's a bug. This end is really long, but I'm not going to cut it because you see these beets in front of them is planted lettuce, and I'm going to harvest that soon. And I plan to take off this netting and add more super hoops over here to cover these beets because they're going to get really tall. Squirrels will dig them if I don't put something back over them. And the ones on the edge, they're just going to push up against this netting. Now the last corner. Now I want to zip tie all 3 other corners. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.